They say don't split the party. I personally don't much agree with that, but it can get pretty risky. Hello everyone, I'm Esper, welcome. So I DM a lot and I live stream some of my campaigns, and there's a lot of really nice moments and great scenes throughout the different adventures that happen. But, it's not reasonable to expect that everybody is going to watch a 3-hour live stream or a 3-hour video. Now, a lot of people do, like the hardcore fans do, and I think that's awesome. But I was thinking the other day, what if I take some clips from these different moments in the campaigns and just focus on the one clip and maybe talk about it, maybe analyze it a little bit, and maybe some people would get something worthwhile out of that. So this clip that we're going to look at here today comes from my Mirrormorn campaign. I live stream it, and I've got my regular Sunday crew with me. So in this scene, one of the characters, Wally Coast, splits from the party. They're in a town, an unfamiliar town that they haven't been to before. They're in the port or wharf district, and Wally Coast goes to a tavern looking for a halfling ship captain. I say tavern, technically it's a fume hovel because smoking is more prevalent there than drinking. Anyhow, Wally Coast goes there looking for a halfling named Maxwell. The party is trying to get to a place called Black Rock Isle, which is a very accursed, blasted, forlorn island that pretty much no one will go to. It's a perilous place and it has a lot of superstitious, curse-like connotations about it. But these halflings are known to be audacious and daring and bold and plucky. He finds Maxwell in this dingy, dark, smoky tavern at night, and he goes up to the table. There's Maxwell and two other halflings. However, someone else has already approached this halfling, an orc, a rather burly orc. Later, they find out that he's a bounty hunter. The orc is bearing down upon the halfling, intimidating him, threatening him, speaking in a language that Wally Coast doesn't speak, but clearly the orc is quite unhappy. So Wally Coast slinks up to the orc behind his back. I have Wally Coast roll a perception check as he slinks up to the orc, and he rolls quite good. However, the two orc rogues that were hiding in the dim and the smoke rolled even higher on their stealth checks. So Wally Coast is unaware of their presence, walks up to this orc, produces a trident, and, well, you'll see here.
He reaches out and he grabs the halfling by his throat and starts lifting him up.
I told you before I go into my vessel.
And I'm at that point, I feel like from behind my cloak, I reach back, I pull the trident, and I just poke the half orc with the tip of the trident.
Yeah, full orc.
Full orc, I apologize.
Yeah, full on.
Yeah, full orc. And I say, now that's no way to treat a captain. I suggest you put him down unless you want 3 new, gill holes in your side. I'm poking him right in the ribs, So
you do that,
yeah.
And it was pretty clever of you to do that, but there was a thing that you didn't notice,
Sure.
And you were actually getting shot as soon as you put your weapon against him.
So I guess it matters for basically they're getting a sneak attack on me is kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a critical hit. This is really going to hurt. There's 2 of them, and this first one's really going to hurt. So why don't I just roll the damage now and get it out of the way?
If I could, the problem is because it's a sneak attack, I can't even use any
you don't have any reactions. You put the trident to him, and he doesn't even respond. It happens so fast.
I get shot in the back. Yeah,
it happens so fast. So there's a hand crossbow shot, and you get hit with a sneak attack critical hit.
Jesus. Okay, well I'm probably going down.
29 piercing damage.
I'm down.
Right, so there's 2 shots. Did you come here alone, or is everyone with you?
To the best of my understanding.
Oh, he's on his own.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't even think Adriel's with Wally Coast right now.
Yeah, I thought that I was just going to have a conversation, not get shot down in the street with a single shot.
Oh, man.
So we're gonna pause things there.
So I've DM'd a lot for a long time, and I've seen my fair share of character deaths, that's for sure. However, still to this day, whenever I see a character go from full hit points to 0, it takes my breath away for a moment. So the guy who's playing Wally Coase is a really good role player and a good gamer, and he's been a player in my campaigns now for a couple of years. It's come to become a friend of mine. So don't go smack talking him in the comments. The idea of this type of video is not to point out how somebody did something wrong. I guess we could analyze this from a different perspective, which is how to best tactically approach a situation, and what's the best thing to do to defeat the monsters or villain NPCs and survive. And I think that's fine. I think that's a legitimate way to analyze things in D&D. But I think there's something bigger going on. I think there's a bigger picture going on beyond just tactics and survival, which is really the most important element, the primary element, which is storytelling. I have to admit that I like this kind of scene, not characters dying particularly, but I like the kind of scene in which a character, due to their motivations and goals and due to them being who they actually are, does go off on their own. I think sometimes it's very contrived that whenever a character goes to some place and role plays out whatever type of scene, the whole party just somehow magically is always right there with them, armed to the teeth, fully armored, ready to go from 0 to 100 battle at the drop of a needle. So I really appreciate it when things actually feel more realistic, or at least more authentic to who a character is. Another reason why I think that this sort of thing, the characters going in their own separate ways, at least for a little while, is good, is because you get interesting moments like this. Now, of course, the danger ramps up if you have less than your full party with you, or if it's even just one character alone. It gets much more dangerous. Yes, it certainly does. But danger and conflict and tension are what drives stories, and it makes things very interesting. I've seen a countless number of interesting moments in my different campaigns, which would not have been so interesting if the whole party would have been there like this, squad of armored soldiers and battle mages. Now, I do understand that the party splitting up is not for everyone. It may not fit your DM's preferences or maybe the player's preferences, and that's fine. So no big deal with that. But I just want to encourage you not to automatically jump on this bandwagon of never split the party. I just want to give you a different perspective on it and show you how things can really become interesting. Now, luckily, Wally Coase ended up not dying, actually fully dying. He, of course, got knocked unconscious and was in a bad state for a moment there. I decided to pause things right there. For one, we'd already gone pretty far in the session. It was pretty much the end of the session anyways, and I knew what was going to happen after that would take far too long. It wasn't going to wrap up within a short amount of time. So part of it was a time just for time's sake. Another part was it created a wonderful cliffhanger. If the players are coming back to the next session already biting at their nails and what's going to happen? Is he going to live or die? Or what's up with these orcs or these halflings? That's the players are automatically engaged, and the audience who watches the live stream are engaged from the very beginning of the next session. A third benefit to pausing things right there was I just needed some time to think and process. It's not something that you should take lightly when a character might be dying. I wanted to make sure that I reviewed my notes and reviewed my motivations that these orcs and these halflings had. Wally Coase had also initiated a class feature called Serendipitous Encounter. The class he's playing is the Paragon that's going to be coming up in my 5th edition book, Esper's Emporium of Esoterica. So this Serendipitous Encounter is supposed to be providing an NPC that's going to help in some way during a scene. But I didn't know if it was going to quite work. Anyhow, there were just some things that I needed to take into consideration before just rushing into him possibly dying. I mean, if I had to rush into it, so be it. You know, I can do that, of course. But I did appreciate when this curveball came at me, I got a little bit of time to just breathe and reflect on my notes. So luckily, Wally Coast did end up surviving in the ensuing scene. This encounter at the fume hovel, inside of it, and then later in the streets, turned out to be a really, really interesting scene that plays out through the beginning of the following session. So this moment was really memorable, full of tension, and is something that is just going to stick with us for a long time. That's the sort of things that makes your D&D campaigns great. I mean, that's what we ultimately want, are these moments full of excitement and emotion and tension and immersion, and we remember them and we can tell the stories again and again with our friends. So I encourage you to be a little bit more open-minded and don't just immediately think that splitting the party is this awful thing. Yes, it can be very dangerous and risky, but the role-playing rewards to it, I think, outweigh that. It just makes things more interesting and have a more organic feeling to them. Also, I want to take a moment to give a shout out to my friend AJ Pickett, specifically the Kickstarter that he has recently launched for Big Pockets. AJ is also a YouTuber. You might know him as the Mighty Glue Stick. AJ is a resident lore master of D&D and things RPG and fantasy here on YouTube. And he's launched a Kickstarter for some really high quality battle mats. They have both the square grid and then also the hex grid on it. And there are some add-ons that you can select as well. I'll put a link down in the video description if you want to go check out his Kickstarter. I encourage you to do so. Show him some support and get yourself one of these really nice looking battle mats. They seem to fold up really, really well. They have a higher level of flexibility to them, so you can get them to compact easily. And they are apparently crease-proof due to being silicone battle mats. So they're not going to get creased and wrinkled, and apparently they're highly smudge and stain resistant, which that's a problem that I have a lot. Whenever I use battle mats, drawing with the markers, they smudge onto my hands. So you can check out his Kickstarter, and he does some video demos of the battle mats. So let me know what you all thought about this style of video. I could do lots of videos of this kind, as there's tons of different moments through the live stream campaigns that I run. If you enjoy it, leave me a comment down below. If you have any thoughts about splitting the party or situations where you've been either a DM or a player where suddenly a curveball happens and things go awry, as in someone's about ready to die and maybe they do die. Thank you so much as always. May your adventures be many.